14th, meeting together. This is where you guys can go home and have Valentine's Day. Okay, with that being said, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Later, if you get a free moment, you gotta read this one. They continued, but as soon as we talked about it today, we thought of you. This one, if you get a chance to read that one.
Yep.
Read that.
The 500. Okay.
They only asked for about 6 waivers, no alternatives. But if you're out.
Not a great approach.
All right. With it being said, I read the minutes for January 24th and recommended an approval.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Trails and open space Rolling Ridge, the Eagle Scout project. You're up. Are you all straightened out?
Yep.
You all set with it now? You had some
We'll
doubts.
present, and we already talked about the issue about the access, so he knows.
Okay. And what he's going to put on the sign?
Well, I think that will have to work out.
Okay.
Thank you.
How far are you away from Eagle? How far are you away from Eagle Scout?
I have 2 minute batch left.
2 minutes, 2 left.
Thank you.
We had one long time. He's not up.
Hello, my name is Mark Rogers, and I'm an assistant scoutmaster at Troop 87 here in North Andover. And an Eagle project is a service project which caps the highest level of achievement in Boy Scouts. The individual scout candidate for Eagle is essentially a project manager for an Eagle Scout project. The project can only be done for a nonprofit or a governmental agency. It cannot be considered a maintenance project. It has to add new value to the community. And so here's the Eagle candidate who will introduce himself and the project.
Yeah. My name is Robert Rogers. I'm a Life Scout in Troop 87. And so the plan for my project is to construct an informational kiosk on the grounds of the Rolling Ridge retreat by Lake Ochikwick. The kiosk would be intended to provide information on the ecosystem of the property, which has a couple of wetlands areas and a vernal pool on the property as well. And so the goal of the kiosk would be to provide information on those ecosystems and their importance to the general kind of ecosystem of an area, what animals live within them, why they're important, and to be protected. And basically, its purpose would be to educate visitors to the retreat on generally what wetlands are and the particular one on the property. The kiosk itself would be constructed, the supports of it would be constructed with 2 pressure-treated timbers, which would be buried in the ground inside sonotubes, which are plastic tubes which would protect the surrounding earth from the chemicals within the pressure-treated lumber, and they would also be buried within concrete, which would further protect the surrounding area from leaching caused by the chemicals when the wood gets wet. The rest of it would be constructed with more wood timbers, and the information board itself would be covered over with a layer of Lexan, which is like plexiglass. And the construction would start in the spring once the ground is thawed.
Anybody going to be helping you out with the project?
My plan would be to basically get help from the other scouts at Troop 87, any friends that I can find who are willing to help construct the project.
And where are you getting the materials from?
Right now, I'm planning on getting the materials from donations or discounts received from Home Depot, Lowe's, or Jackson Lumber.
Great. Good luck with the project.
One question. I appreciate your project, and we always go through Eagle Scout projects, we tend to not have people walk into vernal pools, because most lay people don't know what a vernal pool is until it's too late.
Yeah.
You could talk with Jen, maybe she could, maybe with the signage, tell people, there it is, but stay away. Because it's all salamanders and frogs and turtles, and you disturb their sight, they're gonna take off, which is understandable. And then the wording of the sign, which we talked about, I talked to Jen for a little bit today. Excuse me. Aside from that, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb?
Have you ever done anything like this before, like digging posts and things like that?
I've had some experience with construction, which mainly I've gotten from actually helping other Eagle Scouts working on their projects.
Okay.
You may be forgetting the time that we repaired our fence in the backyard. That too. Where we used a post hole digger.
Because that really is, it's going to be tough, digging into it and into the ground and everything. So you're going to have to, wait until the spring, because it's going to, the thawing will take place. And just kind of like as a sidebar, when you work with the cement, make sure that you have long pants on, because my son worked with cement with shorts and his legs got burned. So it is very, abrasive. So, but yeah, I think it's a really good project, and the area Rolling Ridge is an absolutely beautiful piece of land. Good luck.
Thank you.
Doug?
Well, I have no specific questions, but good luck with the project. It's a good one.
There was another question too, on Joe or a
Yes,
small project.
we recommend a small project, L.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kiosk, it's exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. A lot of the projects that the scouts do are like in wetlands, so we really can't permit them as small projects, but I think this makes a fine small project permit. Put the conditions and number it, and
Put the pole for the vernal pool.
I looked at it today, even though if you see in this photo, and I measured on a map, you're probably 50 feet away from that pool.
We walked off 80 feet. But
Yeah, it's pretty far, so it is definitely out of the subzones.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve this as a small project under subsection L.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that's unanimous.
And I vote that we approve it with whatever conditions our administrator thinks are appropriate. And what are those, Jen?
So I would think that we'd approve the language, prior to installation, and then just have a pre-construction, meeting to say, here's where we're going to put it, and then when it's done, a post-construction.
Okay.
So-
back here? Or?
No, just with me.
Okay.
So that's my motion with the amendment conditions that Jen just referenced.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
The next one is 242-17-260 Ray Street. We're going to table that for a little while till the engineer comes
Yeah, I
up.
don't think Greg's here, but maybe the
table it.
continuations, just so if anyone's here for
Well, I'm
something.
going to do that now.
Okay, good.
Are there any of you butters here for 0 Ray Street? None so. Okay, so we're going to table that till the engineer gets here. Next one is 242-17-19 Mass Ave, continue till 2/28.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And 242-17-21 562 Boxford Street, request to continue till February 28th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242-1775 16 Beaver Brook.
Can you we have 500 Boxford Street.
Oh, did I miss one?
Continue to- Yeah, the big one that.
Oh, that's right.
Well,
That
we
was
have to
the
open
last
that
minute one.
first, so maybe we should wait till after 16 Beaver Brook.
Well, we'll just go on the list.
Okay.
242-1725 16 Beaver Brook.
we reviewed the project and the after-the-fact aspect of the deck and the patio enlargement, and the commission wanted to see permanent monumentation, given the proximity of this project to the resource areas, which is a certified vernal pool. And so the new plan now contains the 2x2 fieldstone wall from the, where the limit of clearing intersects the 50-foot no disturb zone, across the existing backyard and over to a sort of driveway retaining wall at the other end of the property. You also asked for the soil stockpile and some dewatering to be shown on the plan, and both of those are there. And you have the applicant's representative and the applicant here tonight.
So my name's TJ Melvin with Christensen and Sergi, here for the project located at 16 Beaverbrook. As Jen had pointed out at the last hearing, the commission had requested to have a permanent monument. We showed the 2x2 fieldstone wall as requested. We also showed a few locations of signs to be placed right within the tree line outside of the stone wall area. We added the soil stockpile area as well as a dewatering area. And if there's any additional questions the commission may have, I'll be happy to answer.
Looks like it's all in order with what we had requested, right?
Yeah, the only other thing that I had added, and I conditioned it, was that the marking on the trees would go along the driveway side
Okay.
as well. But we don't necessarily have to see that on the plan. It's something.
Okay. Thank you for your revised plan. It's great. And I don't have any other questions.
I only have one. When do you go in front of zoning again?
No,
For this?
This doesn't need zoning approval. This is 16 Beaver Brook. It meets all the side, front, rear setbacks. You're thinking of his 562 Boxford Street proposal.
Must have been reading backwards. Oh, I must have been reading on top. Yeah, ZB for waiver. Okay, I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions. No questions.
Motion?
So we need to approve the waiver request for work in the 50-foot no disturb, 75-foot no build.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous. All set.
Jen, the only thing, do we have to get within the 50-foot no build too? Or the 75-foot no build?
Yeah, the
50 no disturb.
50-foot no disturb and 75-foot no build. That's the waiver they just
Okay.
wrote it on.
All
I mean,
right.
those are the only zones
Okay.
there weren't any other waivers requested, right?
No, I think so, no.
Okay. And then it would just be to close an issue.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that's unanimous. All set. Thank you.
So the next one is a continuation, but it's a brand-new filing, so it needs to open first and then continue.
Okay, so
So-
we're going to continue it till
The next meeting.
February 28th.
Yeah, they finally got to all my comments and decided that they should probably provide some additional information
Well, we
before
could've
coming
voted on
before
it.
us. What's that?
We could have voted on it.
Yeah. 500 is going to be continued. I gave them a list of my comments about their plan, and they felt it would be better to address those before coming to the hearing. I knew you were here for that when I saw it. And then they also had a member of the team who couldn't be present tonight that they wanted to be able to come to the meeting, so they're going to continue to the 28th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, that was last
They
minute.
literally called this afternoon and said, we're going to heed your advice and get some more information to you first. Sorry about that.
Yeah, because I meet with her in the morning, and then if it smells like a rat, it usually is one.
Well,
So there's a
we
lot of
discussed it
holes,
this
there's a lot
morning,
of holes in it.
anticipating that they would come, and I sent them another email, and they decided they would wait, so.
So we tend to give applicants warning that they're not prepared, so that you guys don't, unfortunately, it's not too bad, but fortunately, there you go. Well, you get the 28th.
We were not able to attend the zoning board of appeals on December 12th. I was on vacation, and they're not,
Well, according to this, they're not even done.
well, they're done with zoning board.
Yeah, that,
They are done?
right, I wrote the zoning board a letter, which I think they discussed.
Oh,
but
that's
that,
right, you did tell me that.
They approved it anyway, and,
Did you know that you could get the zoning board of appeals on YouTube?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't attend the meeting, but I know every word.
That's
All right.
right, we're not gonna be so complacent.
Thank you.
Well, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next time, so that's the 28th?
28th of
Okay, I'll
February.
call next time.
All right, thank you. All right, the next one is 242, no DEP number, 404 Summer Street.
We did actually get a DEP number, it's 1727.
Okay.
It was just today, right, Mayor?
Yep.
Vote on the continuance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard Deb and Sean.
Yeah,
right?
we kind of did.
And it was unanimous.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my world.
Thank you. Do you have green cards too for me?
Good evening.
So-
My name's Maureen Harold from North Environmental Services here on behalf of the applicant. We filed a notice of intent with the commission to raise the existing dwelling at 404 Summer Street, as well as the swimming pool and patio area on site, and as well as some fences. We are filing to construct a new single-family dwelling and driveway. We meet the 50-foot setback that the commission requires. Also, as a part of this filing, we filed for a septic system that's located towards the rear of the property. We are proposing some improvements to the property. On the left-hand side, you'll see the existing driveway. We're proposing to remove that driveway and restore the 25-foot no disturb area with plantings. We also show signage along the 25-foot no disturb. Also along the B series, how that wetland is, it's primarily lawn area with a wooded fence. So again, we're proposing to restore that 25-foot no disturb with plantings and signage. And I met Jennifer out on site. We made an adjustment to wetland flag 10A. We moved it up gradient approximately 10 feet. We deleted 11A, and the remainder of the boundary was pretty much agreed upon.
Well, before I even ask you, Jen, do you think it makes sense to have any barriers along the 25? I mean, I have a hard time, it looks like almost everything's cleared, other than the trees shown on this diagram, right?
Yeah, so I think the typical stone wall would be sort of strange because it wouldn't be a continuous thing. It's not like the wetland runs along all one side of the property or all along the back of the property. It's mostly off property. And so I do think just, some identification posts and markers are probably the best bet because, again, the resource areas aren't on the property. There's a current fence that's basically at the wetland line now, and it's all sort of fallen down. On the adjacent property, there's a pool fence that kind of is between the wetland and that particular house.
So you have the A-series wetland is driveway, within a couple feet of it, right?
So they're going to remove that driveway,
Yep.
and that's one of the restoration
Bless you.
areas.
Yep.
I do think, and I let Maureen know that I think the restoration area should be planted a little denser. You had a lot of plants on the list, but not necessarily a lot of dots within the
We can beef up the plantings, so it's not a problem.
So that restaurates, is the whole 25 going to be restored on the A series?
Yep.
Yes, so we'll remove the driveway, plant posts and signs at the 25-foot.
Okay. And then same thing for the B series?
Correct, so the 25-foot for the B series is primarily lawn area, and there's a fallen over wooden stockade fence, so we'll remove that, plant, restore.
And plant and restore? And with signage again?
Yes, with the posts and the signs.
Yep. And the C is off, even the buffer's off the property, right?
The C series, the 100-foot falls
No,
within the property?
Yeah, but the 50, no.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, Maureen, my only other concern was toward the back of the property where the reserve area is, would that remain sort of wooded buffer as well?
Correct, we're not
You're
proposing.
not gonna clear back there. There was some clearing in the 50 as well to get back to do the soil testing. They were supposed to access on the other side, and they accessed through the 50. What's the final state of that gonna be? Is it gonna be loamed and seeded, or just kind of grow back wild, or?
We'd like to loam and seed it.
So. And then I had a list of other things that the plan needs, soil stockpile area, construction entrance, dewatering. They have a high water table out there.
Anything else?
I mean, I think generally the project is an improvement over existing conditions. They're moving the house a little farther away. They're taking out that old paved driveway. The area around the wetlands is not in good shape now. There's a lot of dumping, so I'm assuming all that would be cleaned up.
That can be conditioned,
Sure.
yeah.
I don't have any other questions at this point. Thanks.
Jen, I saw so many plans today. Wasn't there a house behind there? Behind this one?
There's a house on either side.
No, that's the one they're gonna tear down.
Yeah.
But was there a house behind?
No, there's a pool back there. I think there's a big pool.
Is that what I saw?
Yeah,
Is
it's
this the
in-
one with the guy that does four-wheeling on next door, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some disturbance in the wetlands on one side, and there was some tree cutting on the other. I've already met with a butter who did the tree cutting, and we have a plan for some replanting there.
Okay, just to reinforce Jen's issue with the construction access and the stockpile,
Sure.
I don't see it, especially when they're doing the pool. I mean, there's nothing there. Those are my only issues with the plan. I thought there was a house.
What was
back
the other thing I noted too was you proposed the straw wattle with the plastic netting. The commission doesn't usually allow those. They want something a little beefier out there. I mean, you could do silt fence, but the bigger wattles, the bark mulch or the compost.
Okay. Not a problem.
Is the pool going to be filled with soil from the property or from off property?
Good question. I don't think there's enough soil on property to fill it in, so
Yep.
my guess is they'll have to ship some
Yep.
soil in for
So we'd
it.
want clean fill for that?
there. Absolutely. We don't want the old pool, you know. Well, there should be plenty of fill. You gotta take the existing old pool out.
I don't
And then-
think so.
No.
I think they're just filling it.
Yeah.
It's an in-ground pool, right?
Correct.
So they're just going to,
Well, they'll probably at least excavate
The liner
the
route
liner
and
and
the
the concrete.
patio off.
Yeah, they got to do some excavation work, and then they can take the stuff from the new pool and put it in the old pool. Because there's nothing there right now.
there is no new pool.
No new
No.
pool.
No new pool.
It looks like
So-
they're gonna bring in soil for the septic system anyway, so.
Right.
Okay.
Is it a gunite pool or a liner? Did you just mention? Do you know?
It's an older pool. I
It's
think
an
it was
old
just
liner
a
pool, I
liner
think.
pool,
Yeah.
from memory.
I thought that was a pool.
Yes.
When I first looked
Yes.
at that, it's right next to it.
Take that off-site.
Okay, I
They'll
have no
take it
questions.
off-site. The septic is proposed right adjacent to it, so they'll
Well, you
have
can-
the equipment there
You
to
can address
remove
that
all
all
of
at the
it.
pre-construction anyways.
Well, and we can put it in the order.
It's a condition.
Right.
Yep.
Deb? No questions. Deb? Okay. So, and more, there's no more questions, look for
I think we have
motion.
some
Oh, we
abutters
gotta-
too, and we
And
need,
also
We
you
have
wanna
some,
change this to
we
the
have some
plan.
butters to 404 Summer Street? Would you come up and address the board, please?
Yep.
You have nothing to say? Oh, okay. We have to continue it anyways, because there's no, oh, no, you have the DEP number.
Is the level of the land going to raise with this new building?
if you could just come, you're for what, your what number for?
427.
No, they're in a butter.
Right, they live at 427 Summer Street.
The septic back will be raised a little bit, but essentially the lot is level, as you know, so really they're not proposing any grading.
Could we ask how large the structure's going to be?
Sure. Would you like to come up? I have an extra set of plans.
Well, it's just, I just wanted to know like square footage, what the size would that.
I
that's
don't
fine.
have the square footage on there, but it's a modest size, so this is the existing line. And this is what he's proposing. So I would say it's comparable to what's out there, slightly larger.
Because that was a very small structure.
Right.
So I just didn't know if you were thinking of something, well, thinking of-
I wouldn't call that extremely large. I think it's fairly comparable to what's out there. It is larger, but it's not gonna be one of those
It's not like
McMansions.
You can't say it's a gambrel, it's a,
I haven't seen the house design, so I honestly don't know.
yeah, and you don't know how many rooms this is approved for, because if you have a septic, you have to have how many bathrooms?
The commission doesn't generally have to know that information, the Board of Health would have to know that. Right.
I only know because when we did ours, they said you can only have so many bedrooms, so many bathrooms, so.
Yeah, I would either do the Board of Health or the building inspector when they submit a set of plans. That,
If we have questions, we should ask them.
yeah, because we're only interested in the 50 to 25 and 100.
Okay,
And they meet all of that. Motion? Or we gotta continue.
We have to continue.
So motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray Street now, if that's. Getting in trouble already.
We're gonna go back to 08 Street, Ann
So at the last meeting, we had some questions about the location of mean high water in the river front area. So Greg and I went back out there under some frozen conditions, and Greg did some additional flagging, which he can present to you on the plan tonight.
Sure. Good evening, Greg Hawkins from Williams and Sparagus, representing Messina Development. At the last public hearing, we requested a continuance to take a closer look at the methodology that we use to delineate mean annual high water for the two perennial streams on this property, or that affect this property. We had used aerial photographs for most of it and only hung flags on a portion that was close to North Cross, up in this area. We had about 12 flags. Jen and I decided to go take a look, and depending on what we saw, we were going to get together and try to find the best photo to use. But when we went out, it just made sense to hang some more flags. We could walk out here with no issue. There was some ice. We walked right across the soft areas. The mean annual high was very obvious. So we hung probably about 24 more flags. I colored them in the darker blue on here, so you can see the ones that we added. They were very close, which is good to know moving forward if we run into this situation again and we can't get out there. But with that said, we hung flags. They were located by survey and are accurately represented on this plan. So I feel as though we have a much more accurate riverfront area boundary that sheds onto the subject parcel. I think we talked a little bit about the wetlands at the last hearing. It sounded like the wetland line was okay. We requested the continuance to take another look at the mean annual high water flags. And I will reiterate, the original application came in requesting the commission to approve BLSF out here too, the 100-year floodplain. We took that off, knowing full well that if anything is proposed out here, it would require a notice of intent, and at that time, it would need to be shown on those plans. So we're not asking the commission to approve BLSF at this time. Strictly BVW and mean annual high water.
So with that, I made a note that when you issue the resource area delineation, there would be a finding of accurate flags, and then I chose to put a note in the inaccurate, just saying that floodplain is present on the site but not determined, and then just noted it in the sort of write-up I do for the ORAD, of the flags we're confirming, and then again saying portions of the property are shown within the Zone A on the FEMA map, and I gave the number, although the area land subject to flooding was originally included as part of the submitted abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. It was later withdrawn to be confirmed as part of any future filing. And that would just be, if this should go away for a number of years and come back, that wouldn't be missed.
And really the reason was it steps down almost 6 feet across this reach, and we may decide to do a flood study to make sure it's still as it should be according to how FEMA has it mapped.
Right.
It may have changed. There's been some beaver activity, and who knows? So we want to reserve the right to take another look at it.
You comfortable with that approach?
Yeah,
As far
it's
as
not like it, I mean,
Accepting that out, that's something
yeah.
that somebody will notice, 10 years down the road, somebody will notice that, no,
well, I think it's worth noting that it isn't shown and it is present, but I do think it's a more complicated thing to put on this plan than, at each portion, there's a line drawn, and at one point it's 168, and then it's 166, and then it's 164, and, how that appeared, when it was on the plan before, it didn't look right, and I think it's something that's worthy of, letting them get it right on the new plan, whether that's a new flood study or whether it's just putting it on the plan the way it's currently delineated. I think a lot of that is within the riverfront area and not far off from the BVW anyway.
Right. But you feel confident that because we're not including it, that it is conspicuously accepted out on the documentation?
I think we've done this before. I think on when we did the Wellington Woods filing and that project, they hadn't delineated out the vernal pools within the bigger wetland. So we just acknowledged that they were there and that, if any work was proposed within the 100, they would have to respect, either figure out where they were. There can be work further down the road. I don't think that's a bad thing.
I wrote that this project is going to try and go quicker than, sooner than
You
later.
think you will?
I think so.
So as long as you think
Right?
it's on there, it's conspicuous, I'm good.
They're not spending this money to just sit on that piece of land.
Right. I think the commission will see some notice of intents in the near future.
See?
We're right again.
Okay, well, we try to be. Like I said, when these ANRADs, as soon as the ANRAD comes, boom, the NOIs come right,
Somebody's got
right
an idea.
behind. He's probably already got it in his briefcase.
He's not denying it either.
No, he's not.
No comment.
No comment.
It's already started.
You all set?
Yes, I am.
I have a question. There's been grumblings in the town that they're looking for a sewer system out there.
I heard the same thing.
Okay. I just want you to be aware of it so that, you don't get blindsided, because that's an expensive,
And I do know there's been some meetings.
well, there has,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Tim was meeting with the developer to talk about, what they're expecting of a project, when a project comes.
Because there's been some talk about 7 houses going in there. So it's kind of,
It's quite
and there was an army of abutters here
I bet.
last week,
Yep.
last meeting.
A lot of interested parties.
No, looks good. I'm all set with it for now. Yep.
No question.
Done. Motion?
So the motion would be to approve an ORAD for an accurate delineation of BVW flags A1 through A41 and of mean annual high water flags MA1 through MA28 in the associated riverfront area. And then inaccurate for, and again, not inaccurate, I forget how I did the form, but just making a note that bordering land subject to flooding is present on the site but not delineated.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Thank you.
All set, Greg?
Good night.
You too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, you too.
You have to get back to your wife.
Heading home.
That's why I was late, just picking up the flowers in the cart
Yeah, there you
And the
go.
chocolate.
and the chocolate.
Flowers and Tamiflu.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Next one is 242-1639, OCC request for vacant joint 351 Willow Street.
It's a request for a one-year extension. I went out to the site. They're largely finished with the work out there. The erosion control is still in place. The flagging's still up. They have some stabilization to do, but I anticipate we'll see a COC this spring sometime.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is another extension request, 242-1479 for 15 Lorraine Avenue.
Yep. If you recall, we had filings for 14 and 15 Lorraine, that little short street off of Andover Street. This one had a restoration area, which just got planted this fall. This file's been around for a long time, but it was caught in the Permit Extension Act, so it was actually valid for 7 years. But they need one more year to do the monitoring.
Oh, it's been that long. Okay. Motion?
Move that we grant a one-year extension for 242-1479, 15 Lorraine Ave.
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1117, request for withdrawal of the certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it back pretty shortly. They're going to connect to sewer, so this was that septic system with the wood retaining wall instead of the stone one. I think we'll ultimately have to give it a certificate of compliance so they can connect to the sewer, but a couple meetings, I think, before that happens.
Okay. Next one is 242-1629.
So here's one that expired 2 days ago, but this was for the demolition of the building and the parking lot over at the West Mill, not the mill that they're currently doing the culvert repair on. But the project's largely complete. They're not ready for their certificate of compliance because they have some invasives management to do and they have site stabilization. So generally, if someone let an order expire, I would recommend that we issue them a new, that they apply for a new permit, especially if the work wasn't done. But where the work is largely done, I know this commission in the past has issued enforcement orders to kind of finish up a project. I wouldn't recommend that if they still had construction to do, but given that it's just site stabilization and invasive species management, I think it's a reasonable thing to do.
Any questions, Sean?
Not at this second, no.
Okay, hold on. Deb?
No questions.
Doug, any questions?
I think I have to recuse myself from this. I'm now on a butter to this.
Oh, you're on a
project.
butter now? Oh, that's right.
Well, we don't have to vote on anything
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, you are on a butter now.
So this is just an extension?
They can't get an extension because the order already
Yeah, yeah,
expired.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically just issuing them an enforcement order, telling them to get their site
Gotcha.
cleaned up.
Well, can we do that with him being on a butter?
I can write it and we can ratify it at the next meeting.
Okay. So request to continue.
I think we could, though. Didn't we look at that once before? And as long as you have a quorum present, you just...
Yeah, you just, it's
All
a,
you need is 3 votes.
right.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can motion to issue
All right,
the,
so we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that's unanimous.
whew, now we don't need to do that next meeting.
Yeah.
All right, is anybody going to the MACC conference? I think last meeting, everybody said they were pretty much out. I know.
Will not be there.
Okay, so then we are ready to adjourn at our shortest meeting in a really long time.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
All right.
Come on.